Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Strike. Welcome to this episode of the podcast, part 2 of our conversation with Cecil Kim.
At the high, we have about 70 employees. But when we slowly realized, okay, we need to kind of let Tim know, because before then, we always had a plan. Like 2 months later, we're going to have an E3 push, and let's see how it goes. Until then, we have a little more money. We're going to keep doing this, and let's just focus, guys, and everyone's really on board. But one time, we have to really face the reality, meaning we love everybody, but it just can't afford, right? And there's a lot of advice came from other outside saying, you got to look at the number. The numbers isn't there. That best thing you can do is just go to survival mode, meaning no new content, just keep minimum survival team, meaning just the engineer and maybe just the QA and just the network side. Just keep the game running. That's it. And what if games start picking up? Hire everybody again, slowly. That is the advice from everyone. Everyone basically saying, "What are you doing? You guys not generating money. Why are you?" But for me and Justin and Jimmy, we couldn't do that because this talent is talent. What if they work at another company? And that's why some of the mobile games are really lacking in the tone and the vision, because it's not because they don't care. It's just how like fierce and brutal the competition out there, right? That's why they have to leave everything to the outsourcing. Like all the assets are done overseas, and just the development is done in house. And we didn't go to that route, so our bank account goes down pretty quick, and we had to tell the team, "Sorry, guys. Oh, we do everything we can do to help you guys find a job, but in a month later, we probably have to let you guys go." Yeah.
So, just from my understanding, was the outsourcing stuff still going on at this point? Like, did you still have that revenue stream coming in, or what happened with that?
We're still doing the service work, of course. Yeah, we're still doing the service work, so that was definitely help us, but wasn't big to support the game team. So, and also I was really struggling with that because we're trying to maximize our output with this concept. With service team is not just concept. We had actually a small development team doing 3D and stuff for game contract too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're bringing revenue for us, but that revenue goes to pay the game team, right? So that was also a struggle too. So once the layoff happens, we did it in 2 times. So yeah, that was really touchy moment because some leads actually, like someone like Kaden, he actually came to us and say, he will stick around. Because if you see the ship is sinking, first thing you do is I got to go out and find my job, right?
Yeah.
But actually, a couple of guys actually say like, Cecil, I really want to see it through. I'll stick around. You don't have to. I take the pay cut and just So actually, a couple of people did that.
Yeah.
So because of doing that process, we were very transparent. We always tell them, here's the situation. Heart to heart. There's no hiding. Because that things get really bad when you start like hiding and lies, and it's just and that's what Jimmy told Tim too. There's nothing more important than you and your family. Don't jeopardize your family because of the game and this company. Just take care of yourself first. If you need to referral, we'll find it for you. Well, and which we did. And the great thing is like a lot of people that actually left us went great places. Yeah, at least Pond we have like four artists there, and Riot is also like pretty sizable, and Fox Next, and Blizzard, So I'm glad that our company offered them to. It's like they're taking to next real like pro career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what year? Now are we in 2019 at this point?
Oh, yeah, 2019. 2019, January and February. Yeah. So at this crazy time, Jimmy as a CEO. I mean, I love Jimmy. He always told me that, Cecil, if you believe in your game, if you believe in the game that you want to make, I'll do everything to support you. That's what he said, right? And he did that. He never come to me and say, he always asks me, how do you feel about the game?
Yeah.
And if I hesitate, he's like, so basically he drives off from my excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's business guy. And at the same time, he took all the burden, it's just really stressful. I don't even look at the bank account because I just told him I'm not a number guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just sit there and I'm like, okay, wow, there's a lot of numbers, right?
Yeah.
But Jimmy has to sleep with all this anxiety and the faces of the employees, right? He took a lot of weight on for me and Justin too. Justin is kind of in the middle, and Jimmy came out with this crazy plan, like, Cecil, I think we have to focus on service work from now on,
right?
Because games we probably gonna take time. We do this again, but right now, let's focus on what we're good at. We've been doing good at. We've been actually growing this side constantly. Let's just do it again. Let's put everything in it. But this time, let's go to Philippines.
Right.
So I'm like,
open up a studio in the Philippines and have a base in Los Angeles, but run out of Philippines and Korea.
Yeah. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't really like that idea of having teams separate, But Jimmy's point is, well, we have 3 partners with a family, and you have overhead, and in order to, and also we had a little bit of money that we owe from kind of private investment and stuff, and that also bothers us quite a bit. We had to figure out a way to pay back, right? So Jimmy's idea was, I said, why Philippines, right? It could be other place, Vietnam, or it could be Korea. And Jimmy is saying, communication is most important. They speak English, and he did all the work. He flew to the Philippines. He got in connect with someone who's really connected in the business side of there, and also one of the artists who's really known in that Philippine side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he spent time trying to figure out and understand the logistics too, how much they get paid, and what type of benefit we need to establish, and then how basically the system works there, right? And he did everything. He came back. He's like, if we grow the Philippine team by end of the year, maybe 100 artists, we can this much. We can actually comfortably feed ourselves.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure like the partners are taken care of first. He's like, it's just a family.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't like the idea, but it took me a while, and then I got into the hiring mode, right?
So sorry. So you didn't like the idea because why you wanted to still work on game development or
No,
the
no, it
outsourcing
wasn't.
idea?
It wasn't just the fact that I don't know the artist and
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
working with them next to us, and it's just that it's such a big proposal, right? But then when Jimmy actually explained to me, and then I started looking at ArtStation, and there's so many talented artists in Philippines, right? And it's you can feel like love for the art, right? So I think that was December, and Justin and we kind of like start to build up our network, basically saying like just being transparent. We are LA based company. Then I had to change my mindset. Okay, now think about it. It's just this is how it's supposed to work. Just like I read a book on Basecamp. They're saying good talents are everywhere. It's not everyone's gonna come to Silicon Valley to do a great things, you know. And we have to accept the fact that technology allows us to work together, and that means talents are everywhere. Everyone needs to have the same opportunity. So I think I realized, okay, wow. But then interesting is there's really good talent, character concept artists, and little less environment side. So I had to change the strategy a little bit, getting more characters related work. Um, yeah, and then slowly my passion grows again.
Right.
Because I love working with artists, and I love helping artists too. And I get inspired. So I'm not really helping them; they're helping me.
Yeah.
That's why I went to Brazil or even China. Like, just I love the energy, right? Teaching is the best, mainly that. We're not really doing teaching for money. And I felt like, okay, this is I can do this. I can really go there and I can build our family again. So I got really excited once I started talking to them. Right.
Yeah.
So in May, actually, we went there. Jimmy and Justin and Scott. We it's kind of like our own
Retreat.
retreat. We're wearing like slippers and shorts. It's
Yeah.
hot, humid, but yeah. And then here we go. We're in Philippines, and we had a huge mixer. We planned it, so
Okay.
I think there was about 100 plus people, and oh man, everyone's so nice. So yeah, I mean, and then time difference was something that we had to work with, but I think having a producer also helped. So yeah,
So
and
you're very enthusiastic at this point, like in mid to late 2019, with setting up an office in the Philippines.
yes. So we actually looked at a really good spot. We always get lucky with the office space. I know, Kevin, you came to our downtown office, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? That's just
That was awesome. Yeah, like
right.
everything from very unique, even from the lobby. Like the building manager is the most friendly building manager I've ever come across, and unbelievable. And then yeah, your office and just the vibe in the office with all the people, the most friendly people.
Yeah, so some people come to our office in the downtown.
Yeah,
They think that we kind of raise like we're like the $1 million, the $100 million company.
yeah,
But reality is that building was empty for a long time, and the landlord liked the fact that we were a tech company. So, and then we had another spot, but we had a flood in our server.
okay.
Just the ceiling, the water pipe broke, and then the whole server got destroyed, and we had to empty the office for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we said, "Oh, yeah, that spot is open. Can we get in there with the same rate?" And he's like, he felt bad. So he pulled his insurance money, we put our insurance money, and we did the construction. Same thing with
nice.
the Philippines. Yeah, we were there for 2 weeks. No, less than 2 weeks. It's 1 week. The last final day, we actually found a reasonable good spot.
Okay.
Yeah, so we set up everything and we came back.
Yeah. Okay, and then what happens? Okay, so you set up the office. Have you been starting to hire people in the Philippines, and then you come back to LA, and then now you're ramping up on trying to get more projects from studios? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and also we have a ton of equipment,
Right.
like high-end PC to monitors and like chairs and desks.
Oh, because a lot of the staff are not there anymore.
Yeah, so we also had to close down the LA office. So there was so much work. Scott and Kevin, they had to really like make sure computers get there safely. So we're in that process, shipping everything, closing down the studio. There's a lot of work on that, and at the same time, I was getting the project and working with a team in the Philippines. Yeah. So yeah.
So what happens? So what happens next?
So that was really weird. Like when you come to office, it used to be like 30, 40 people, and now it's only like 7, 8 people, pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And we're still getting contract. So but then it wasn't, we have to carefully choose the project too. I mean, because the fact that the team is remote, our rate got really decreased. We didn't. Depends on the contract, but most of the time, our solution was more on the lower end, right? Especially production stuff. So we had to kind of re-strategize our client, and then Justin and I were doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think that during the summer, I think the July and August. Yeah. We also realized it wasn't quickly scale to. The issue is this. I think issue was it was growing, but wasn't fast enough. So again,
the sales or the staff, the sales were not growing fast enough.
Yeah, the staff has to be about like 40 people, but I think back then it was less than 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and then because of we were hoping to get a lot of 3D work.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think a lot of times you do an outsourcing studio with a 3D setup, and you want to lock in more like a full development contract, more like DLC or some sort of taking on the levels or owning a prop pipeline. That way the contract can go minimum 6 months to a year, and then it's very steady. But we weren't able to do that yet because of we didn't have experience yet.
Mm-hmm.
We were working towards it, but still it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So we had to really think about what our situation was.
Yeah.
The problem was this. I think, to be honest with you, I think we get to a point we have to kind of fight a bankruptcy because it was a little difficult to carry on with the not being able to cover our expenses and our salary and stuff. So yeah. So it was really really sad moment, because of that the passion and
All
so
the
much
work you
happened.
put in.
So much
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
History.
yeah,
Yeah.
history. And then just to talking to partners about that honestly, it was also not. It wasn't easy. We really love working it together. We're still, I talk to them all the
Yeah.
time. Hmm.
But then, so at a certain point, the three of you are sitting down and just realize and
Yeah,
decide that we can't do this anymore.
right, right. Because it's like you have to see it uh, further ahead, right? And then if it's just gonna be a grind, and we're gonna work really hard, and it's not taking us to anywhere, and we contact every clients, and we actually try to be acquired. Actually, yeah, the part that also we were trying to push for was the try to find a company to acquire us. Yeah, so yeah, we got into a few discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. But that was also pretty tiring because is this our option, right? And then you do all the work, meaning like talking to them, and it's just part of the job. And
Yeah. And only
so
for,
yeah, and I personally had to see what's happening too, right? Like it's for myself, like thinking, what does this really mean to me? Is this means like, am I gonna wait out and start my company again? But that doesn't look like reality. Um, what am I gonna do, right? So I was in that really tough spot, because oh, and then but then what do we do with the staff in Philippines, right?
yeah.
So I think once we decide to closing down, I think the we were talking maybe Justin and Scott can run that studio with start a new company.
Yeah.
So which they did, and it's not now. So we didn't actually lose any Philippine employees, and Justin and Scott is doing this company called System Studios.
Okay.
Yeah. So because that part of the reason is that we want to be responsible, and we wanted to take care of them, and
Yeah.
that the energy and the genuine, like, um, they're really good people too.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to lose that. So Justin and Scott's been running that side.
Okay. So Justin and Scott now have a studio, System Studios, that they're running.
Yeah. So at the same time, I wanted to see the opportunity for myself.
Right.
Yeah, and then I didn't really apply anywhere, but I had actually a friend of mine, Eric Koch, is this great guy. He during the section studio development, he came over, he played our game, gave us a lot of insight. He was working in a Sony Santa Monica third party development, so he worked on Journey and God over the mobile, not mobile, PSP games.
Yeah.
So Eric came, and actually suddenly Eric messaged me and saying, "Hey, Cecil, can you help me with the translation? Can you review our translation for me, the Korean translation?" So I'm like, "Sure, I mean, I'll do it." And I actually looked at the translation and helped him with that. So he wanted to take me out for dinner. So yeah, sure, I catch up. So we sat down at the Korean barbecue. We were drinking soju.
Yeah.
and I told them, the section is closing down. Had to do it, and and he's like, oh man, that's. And then he's like, well, I mean, what do you think about joining us? And he's actually kind of offered me a job there. Of course, I had to do interviews and all that, but as art director at a tech game company. And I'm like, oh, really? I always liked tech game company.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked their free spirit and how a game is beautiful, and it's just they're in the special place, and they never lost their the soul. And that was it. So I said, sure. I mean, that sounds great. And what project is it? And he's like, well, we launched the project, and we need help on that project, but also we're trying to plan for the next game. And the next game will be like console, mobile, like it's going to be pretty interesting. So that's like, for me, it's like, okay, wow, this could be something really cool, because I didn't really know what project that I want to work on, but I kind of knew what project I don't want to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what you don't want to do, what kind of responsibilities you don't want to have, but now you're able to go to that game company and work as an artist. Yeah, go back to working as an artist.
And then the fact that I can work with Genova that was pretty cool. I mean, Genova and I we came across a few times over a span of like 10 years. He even came to our section studio one time when we were doing the Journey book.
Mm-hmm.
I had some conversation with him. He was very curious about the Igor game, because that's one of the first game we were developing, and I had the sketches on the wall. And he's like, hey Cecil, like, can you tell me about this character? And I can see she's like so curious. He's like,
Mm-hmm. So what kind of fun stuff are what brings you enjoyment? What are you having fun doing these days at the studio?
Oh, I love it. It's just I was just talking about this to we're interviewing more people right now. We're kind of growing. So one of the interview actually asked me this question: what do you enjoy the most? So I told her I really like the fact that we're figuring things out every day together. Yeah, so it's hard to describe, but the way how our game the right now, the time of the development and how it's set up is very unique. So for Sky, for example, right? Sky Children of the Light, which is, by the way, won the best iPhone game of the year. I think that is something we can brag about. There's so many games, and Apple really understands the core and then our goal of our game. So the Sky launched about a year ago, launched in July, and I joined the company in August, a month later. So mainly I was in the new content, like season content. So we release new season every 3 months.
So just on that, you jumped into a team. The game was released, and you're handling the new content. How hard is it to embed yourself into something that's like lived so long? Because when you have an idea and an art style and a direction, and it's had time to marinate to the point where it's actually released, how hard is it to how do you sort of integrate yourself into that team and still bring your ability, your ideas to the table without disrupting the wider project?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I struggle a little bit on that. really. So, I mean, my main duty, responsibility was the plan out and the concept, figuring out for the next game. So I was doing that one on one with the Genova, right? I guess we had to get it going, but most of the time, you're right. I had to help out support the Sky team. Sky art style is, just like you're saying, is established, and but then that wasn't an issue because I don't really have a strong, because I guess I'm kind of trained because I did a lot of service work too, and my style is pretty diverse. If you look at my website, I don't see one style is my thing, um, and I like everything. I that's how I'm kind of operate. So when I look at Sky, I see beyond Sky, meaning I see who set the tone, right? And there was an artist called Yui Tanabe. He's lead artist on the project for many years. He's an amazing artist, right? And he brings a very unique sensibility in terms of his line work and how he does his art. So he was my teacher. So I basically wanted to try his style, right? And that took little time, but that wasn't an issue. Well, the tough part was the actually understanding the team dynamics, because there were still more like an indie studio, meaning a lot of people openly really connects with a different discipline and figuring things out together. So it's not like AAA studio where these are the plans and these are the things that we're gonna tackle. These are the focus of this milestone. Is everything is kind of set, right? But in here, it's like, okay, it's like, well, we're gonna figure this out this season. Let's do it. So everything is kind of like move on, and there's so much discussion is happening, right? And
sorry, I just want to go back to one point though before we get into the, sort of like the scheduling side of stuff. You mentioned you also having to, so you jumped into developing future content for children, and how you had to also develop another world at the same time. You developed another game, another IP, another art style. I think I just want to sort of dive into that process of developing this this new thing, this new art style, new IP. Like, where does it start? I know it obviously starts with an idea, but like, there's so much that goes into creating a world. There's so many different elements to it. How do you go about crafting this? Because there's got to be some sort of process or logic to it, right?
Yes. It's all different. Depends on how much is figured out, right? So in this case, we're still figuring out, and it's really really open. Meaning it's a big project, right? I love the idea. I mean, I can't say much right now. I shouldn't. So it's quite different than I expected. Meaning, I thought it's going to be okay. Let's figure out the main character. Let's figure out the vertical slice. Let's figure out how we're gonna use the engine. What kind of 3D look we're gonna push. That is typically what art director does when you start a new project, right? But here it's like understanding the philosophy and the setup takes month and month, because how because the focus of the game is different. Our games are very different. We're not focusing on game mechanics, right? We focus on how we can bring people together and how we can bring out the experience that can help their lives. Like this is a very deep like things we're trying. So understanding that alone, it takes time. So So a lot of time that there's a moment that I can just put a lot of sketches and things like that just to lay out the ideas, and then that idea opens up a new story, and so it's it's a very different process, which I like. I like it. Yeah, and the Sky was also the thing that I try to finish on that side is I look at creating a new season is actually releasing a new game every 3 months, because of each season has a theme, because we're not really season new content, meaning new content for the existing players, right? um, we're actually launching the new season with a new story about the lore, story about the characters, story about like just to expand the universe. That's the goal, right? So that entails like a lot of discussion on the story, themes, and stuff like that. And then by the end of the day, when the season launches, we have to make sure everything's working properly. We have to QA, test it, and we have to announce to the community. And also, we have to do the beta test before launch. So it, it's pretty exciting, but you have to get into the pattern, understanding, right? And then once you launch the season, you get the response from the community right away. So I like it because I always complain about game development taking too long, right?
Yeah.
And my wife has a restaurant, and when I work at the restaurant, I love the fact that you get instant feedback, right?
Yeah.
Customer comes in, that's a challenge. You make them happy. A lot of times it's just paying attention to them, right? And then when they leave, they're like, "Thank you." They're happy, and I love that. That lets you forget about how tired you are and stuff like that. But the game development, man, it's like it's getting to 5 years now. So that's actually a big reason I decided to leave Sony, because I realized 3 games launched, 10 years gone by. I'm like, oh my god. so so in terms of the Sky, I think for 3 months, I'm already excited about next season, right?
Yeah.
I'm already excited about season after that. And more I'm put my head down to that excitement. I start to understand what community wants and community likes. And the bond between the developers and community is like very tight now, because there's Twitters and there's Discord, and there's like so many channels that we can hear them and we can connect with them, right? Globally. So I learned so much about live ops, and because I did a little bit of live ops on Rival, but it was different, right? We didn't have we had a strong community, but it was kind of small, pretty small. Yeah.
So, but with that, just for you as a creative, is there a risk when you're that close with the community? You know, it's like everyone has an idea. Everyone thinks they know what the next big move should be. Is there an element of the community dictating a few, like, okay, they really, really want this thing, so we're going to do this thing? Is there an element of that? And does that ever like impact, as a creative, like, no, the next thing that makes sense is for us to do A, but community wants D.
Yeah.
Like, is that a component to it?
Yeah. I think in the beginning, first 2 seasons, we quite didn't understand. So we did kind of react to it, and it. Yeah, I mean, for example, like some of the feedback on certain outfit, and because like everything is subjective, right? So some people might like it, some people not don't. It's not thinking for everyone, but you have to understand things that most important feedback we get from the community is that in the arc of whole experience, they were expecting something here, but that's not there, and that creates the disappointment, right? And then we realized, okay, I see, we see. Oh man, we kind of messed it up here. Next time, make sure so it's like this. We inviting them to participate in our creation, right? Then when they play it, there's certain type of expectation build up, right? And when we don't give, I wouldn't say reward, but it's like the more on the flow of the experience, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there, because of we kind of did that in the beginning, so we don't want to change too much things, but we also want to give them a new content. So that's balance. So right now, game is actually growing user base pretty fast. It's quite amazing. So we're hitting like almost over. I don't know the exact number, but the last month alone, we increased like 10 million download in 2 weeks because of the Android launch in China. So it's received really well in Asia, like China, Japan, and Korea. I think the main reason is that it's a kind of a D-pad control on the mobile, and the Western audience is not used to it. But in Asia, is either they don't have a console access, or I mean they do, but or especially in Japan, everyone's comfortable with D-pad, and so I think it takes time to come here. That's something that we're working on. So it's now we're seeing a bigger user base, and they giving us the feedback. So we understands now what the community wants. So we in creative side we kind of taking a lead on. We want to try even more creative direction now. So we're not going to stay in the safe zone. So we feel more confident. Team feel very confident that eventually developer has to lead the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't be just keep focusing on what sells and what the community likes, and that's just not the reason that we doing this. So there's a balance. So we working on a new season is really cool. I mean, it's quite interesting how my career took this path, and I feel like I've given a second chance because the reason we section made a mobile game because of a lot of reason is also accessibility, right?
Yeah.
And also we couldn't afford to do a console in the right way. I think the industry is going to go more in that direction where this big 100 million AAA games still going to be made, but the gaps is going to be pretty clear. You know, that it's a very risky business, high risk, high reward. That's what games industry pretty much.
Yeah.
So I realize you have to see the future. You have to look at 5 years old, 10 years old, the future gamers, future audience. You know, how we can work with them, what kind of experience we can, provide to them in the midst of so much competition out there. So I think Rival wasn't thinking that way. It was more like, wow, we're good at action game. We love Diablo. We love God of War. We love Clash Royale. Let's do it, right?
Mm.
In mobile space, things are moving so fast. So we were kind of a little bit outdated in a sense, but I'm wrong. Maybe there's always audience, right? But audience, yeah. But where Sky is lifetime classic to me. It speaks for humanity. It speaks for connecting the people. It really helps people to I mean, there's a survey and studies coming out because of the industry, game industry is gonna grow exponentially because of the before we get to social media, the first thing that people get connected with people online is through games. And that's the fact, right? Kids play Roblox and kids play Minecraft first before they actually play StarCraft, for example. So I think game really, the sky is actually really helping people, really, because we get letters and we get testimonial from fans that are kind of isolated in their own reason. They're having a hard time. There's a lot of people like that, and they play our games and they feel really happy.
Yeah. The games have become a social setting for people to get together and friends to get together and spend time with each other and have fun and play games. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear your story and how that you were a very talented and accomplished artist, and that's always been a part of your career. And along the way, you've learned so much about creating businesses and game development from beginning to end. And yeah, I'm really excited to keep in touch with you over the years to come, because there'll be lots more fun things that I know are going to come up in the future. So I think very inspirational.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I mean, I really appreciate your support too. Yeah.
No. Yeah. You bet.
Yeah, I mean, we always visit our studio when just in the downtown, and I'm also excited about you guys too. Like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, having that, like, I mean, think about it, right? It's like ArtStation portfolio is the must, and it's so easy to set up, and it's having the window is great. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to set up the Philippine studio either.
Okay.
Interesting thing is this too, because it's hard to find artists from non-English region to use ArtStation as a portfolio. I guess still, if you don't know English that well, it's a hurdle to go through post, I guess, and then you don't get to come back often, I guess. That's why I found a lot of artists in Philippines through ArtStation.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah, we are trying to work more on localization and translation and so on. Yeah. All right. So, well, thank you so much for all the time we've been able to chat with you. It's been you've been super generous with your time. You're actually always generous with your time with us, and we're very grateful for that. For people who want to see more and see if your work or reach out to you, you have your website, cecilkim.com. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You also have training videos, Nomen Workshop training videos that are very cool, very, very instructional. You're also teaching at Otis College of Art and Design.
Yes.
And you're on the advisory board at Nomen School of Visual Effects, Games and Animation. So part of the direction there. It's a great school. And and you have some ArtStation learning videos. So we like to watch those as well. So thanks again, cool. Cecil. Yeah, it's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Bye, guys.
See you on ArtStation.com, the global hub for creative professionals. You've been listening to the ArtStation podcast. Hit subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And please leave a rating and review for the podcast. We promise we'll read them all. See you next time.